So I have just finished the Not Safe for Work dating simulator, the micro game where you choose different office workplace hazards to date or not date. Um, a minor inversion of the trope. So this one I learned a lot. I learned it was actually a lot more difficult than the last two for weird reasons that I did not expect. Because there's a lot, even though the player only really has like 4 buttons they could potentially press, 3 at any given time, but there's so much going on in the background when those buttons are pressed, as opposed to the last 2 games where the input and the consequence were kind of immediate. This one, there were a stack of consequences for each action that had to occur. Also, I should mention, I'm working in Godot, or Godot, however I say Godot. And a lot, when I was looking up how to do this, pretty much everyone said just install Dialogic. There's an add-on called Dialogic for Godot, which basically gives you a GUI interface to set up basically all the dialogue trees and everything. It's very highly regarded in the community. I installed it, and I tried it, and I immediately got like 3 fatal errors with it. And instead of this becoming a learning opportunity of how to debug Dialogic, I said, you know what? I'm learning games from the ground up. I'm going to build from the ground up. So what I did instead was I created a custom resource within Godot that was each line of dialogue and all the variables associated with it, like what the buttons would say, what the buttons would do if it ends the game, that sort of thing. And then I created the tree manually by creating each dialogue choice as a resource and linked them together. So from dialogue 1, you hit continue, it takes you to dialogue 2, or if you have choices, you can choose between 2, 3, 4, etc. And I ended up with about 70 to 80 different pieces of dialogue just for this short game. But it was really good to do because I learned a lot about Godot, I learned a lot about resources, I learned a lot with debugging. I did find an issue where even though I had edited the dialogue resource, it was using the old information somehow. I don't know if I had to reload or anything. What I ended up doing was just deleting it and remaking it because it was showing the incorrect options and not letting me continue through the scene. So that's a lot of what's going on in the background. I composed music for it in order to make it not so grating on the ear. Every location / potential paramour has a variation of the track that I tried to keep thematic with them. Since the instrumentation on one of the things you can date is a puddle. So the instrumentation on the puddle is very like wet sounding. It's like it's hard to describe, but it's like harpsichordy, but it has like a wet echo reverberation that like fit the character. And the only thing that like I really stretched it on was because there's a ladder character, and because the ladder character is shaky, I kind of altered what is the generally accepted chord progression to make one that was not as standard, to make it sound for people who knew more about the music theory and were like trained to listen for those chords next, it's going to sound slightly off. And that's probably too much of a deep artistic choice for a game I'm making in 3 weeks, because I did take a week off in March. It's currently the first week of April. I just updated the itch.io. I have people playing it and testing it and letting me know what they think. I've already started planning out the next games. But yeah, for something that came together in 3 weeks, probably went a little too far in a few places. There's still places I could have gone further, but again, the month was ending. I was just like, I need to wrap this up. I've learned the thing I need to learn, and I don't want to get stuck on the minutia for a non-commercial product. This is a learning experience. Let's just finish it and move on. So yeah, it's a micro game. It's very rough. There's other things that I would definitely smooth the edges on. Given more time, I would put in character transitions. I would put in some branching dialogue, so that it's not just the same dialogue on loop when you see people. I would put in some different potential silly endgame states or mistakes you could make in your choices that would lead you to, you're a safety inspector, so maybe you die on site. I don't know. But again, 3 weeks, simple game. the Not Safe for Work Dating Simulator. It's done. I'm very happy with it. I'm moving on to the next game, which is a point-and-click adventure game. And after that, I've got like a party versus party fighting game in the vein of like Final Fantasy to work on. So there'll be more coming out. I want to give a lot of credit to my beautiful wife and partner, Rowan Gold, who drew all of the items that you can date in this game, because it's really the only thing making the game a cognizant visual experience is her art. I drew the backgrounds just as blocks, just to have something there. A lot of the UI is very like blocky, and because I didn't shine it up at all, but she went whole hog on these characters and drew some gorgeous pieces with giant anime expressive eyes. She drew all these emotions for them, and I'm just very appreciative, because like I think that's really what makes the game at any way fun, is that the characters are very well designed. So thank you, Rowan. I love you. And since she's my wife, I lean on her for a lot of art. She should get paid a lot more than I do.